Hey y'all, it's me Linda and your treasure coming to you today on this Thursday, April 18th, 2013. So I'm coming to say hi, and I'm wearing my Speedo top because it's chillax time at home on this spring stormy, well, the storms haven't really started, but it's been raining all day, thundering. I haven't heard, I've heard thunder all day, but I haven't seen much lightning. So, yeah. So, I just finished my evening routine, and I just moisturized my face. That's why when you all see my face looking like this, it's typically because I just moisturized my face. So, yeah. With the jeans therapy stuff. Yeah, really good. But I was checking out a couple of people that I like to view on YouTube, ladies in my peer group who, well, younger than me, but in my general vicinity of my peer group, who are, one's a mother, one is not, one's single and entrepreneur, and the other is an educator mom who lives overseas. And their videos were quite interesting, to say the least, but they were generative, if I may use a term from my studies, quite generative. They generated several questions and just several points that I could pose to you for discussion. So I think I'm gonna do another long video just to test how long of a video can I upload to YouTube. So thank you. I want to thank Uncle Witch, who watched my last video and said he watched the entire 29 something minutes. So thank you, Uncle Witch. I appreciate that. And so this one, I'm just gonna let it take its course, and I'm going to go for like 45 minutes if I can. If I can. I may not even be able to hang that long talking and thinking of what to say or whatever, but we'll see, right? All right, so I was at the Dollar General the other day, and I got a board, and I did my Draw My Life on here. I tried, at least. And here's the camera I was going to film with on this little puny iPod or tripod. Tripod. The camera kept falling over because, as you can see, I had to lean it down towards the board because I had the board on the table. That wasn't working. So I'm going to have somebody to help me film it, the Draw My Life video. So if I'm going to do it, I'll just do it that way. Let somebody film it for me. And then I'm going to have to do the voiceover. So that really is a chore. And I don't have time to be doing all that. I really don't. So I'm just going to tell y'all a little bit about my life today. I think I'm going to do that. But I was watching LouLouMatou from over in the Netherlands. I was watching her video about discrimination that she's experienced in the Netherlands, and she's lived there for several years with and she's African from Cameroon, I think she said, and her husband is Holland or Dutch from the Netherlands, and he's Caucasian, and then they have 2 baby boys. So she was speaking candidly, man, about the way the people treat her. And it just made me think back on when I was younger, like in certain parts of St. Louis, some people had attitudes like that. I mean, then it got better. I mean, because I grew up in a time when it was, civil rights and equal rights were predominant in the culture, and women's rights were like taking off full force. And And for me, that meant equal opportunities. I mean, because I went to college, and I was the first in my immediate family to go to college. And it was because of the time that I grew up in, that those opportunities were open. But even with those good, positive, constructive social changes, you still had pockets of people who just did not want the change. They could not accept the fact that a certain group of people should be treated with civility and with respect. So, yeah, so if you all get a chance, go back and watch her video, LouLouMatou, LouLouMatou is, I think, how she spells it. And it's about, and I think she took down a lot of her videos, so it'll be easier to find it. Just go to her page and you'll find it. But, yeah. And then the other YouTuber I watched was Tanya TKO, Tonyya TKO, like punch out, TKO, knockout. I like some of her videos. She talks about women's issues, love, relationships, wholeness, having good self-esteem. She's writing an ebook, The Motherless Child, about her experience growing up without her mom. Her mom passed away when she was, I think, away at college or something, or going to college, on her way to, something like that. And how, because of that, her dad raised her, but she had to make those significant decisions without her mom's influence on her life. And so yeah. So the reason I'm mentioning those two is because in the course of the video today, I am going to touch on these topics. Okay? So go along with me on this second test video on how long of a YouTube video can I upload. How many minutes will YouTube allow me to upload? So my goal is to take this to 45 minutes. Now let me say something about this thing right here, because I want you all to know this is not cleavage. This is my scar from open heart surgery in 2011. And so it's still keloid, but it's flattening out. And I know it looks like cleavage, but I would not dare get on here showing cleavage. The only reason why I'm wearing this is because, well, it's evening time, and I just got finished with my evening routine, and I wanted to come share with you all before I settle down for the evening. Okay, so discrimination, racism. It sucks. It really does suck. I can say that, though, for real, honestly, in the times we live in now, the interactions here in my city are, I feel, a lot better. That's my experience. When I think back when I was younger, I mean, there are still ignorant people, okay? I am not saying there are not ignorant people. There are still ignorant people who you encounter who are racist. But in establishments, in businesses, in the systemized discrimination or mistreatment is not as prevalent, is not acceptable. So people are more courteous and civil, and that's how it should be. But yeah, I can remember, like, as a girl, Lulu talked about going into stores and people following you and, just accusing you, like, because you're black or you're different, whatever your difference is for your situation, your country, or, your community or whatever, that difference points you out. And so people treat you different because you are different in whatever regard. But yeah, so she was talking about them following her around and like going to doctors and them being very rude and all of that. So, I mean, yeah, I'm just glad that doesn't happen. So I can't really say too much more about that because although I've experienced it, it's been like 100 years ago in dog years. And if I do experience it now, it's very subtle. It's so subtle to where you'll just take it for something else, and it's not blatant, which to me is better than, I guess it's better. I don't know. I don't know if it's better. I don't know, because it's still an ism, and isms aren't good. So y'all, I mean, black folks are racist against each other, though. I mean, come on, we really, if we can get on that, we are schismed against each other for lots of reasons. And shoot, I still experience that. People don't like you because they say you talk differently, or you look this way, or you eat these kinds of foods, or you don't eat these kinds of foods, or you go to these kinds of churches, you don't like these kinds, you listen to this kind of music, you don't like that kind of music, you ain't black enough if you don't do this. And I'm like, this is berserko. So yeah, I mean, that type of interaction still happens. What can you do about that? So anyway, so Tanya TKO, the motherless child. Are we all motherless children at points in our lives? I don't know. I know I can consider myself a motherless child to an extent, because, and this is no disrespect to my mom at all, okay? This is no disrespect to my mom. So please don't take it like that. Because times are different, and times were different for people of color, for women, for people of certain socioeconomics, for people of certain educational levels, or whatever. It was very class distinctions, and who you knew and what opportunities were afforded you based on who was in your circle and who you were connected to. So, I mean, so yeah. So those things kind of, they drive life today, but they really drove life and influenced your life back in those times. So I, to some extent, was a motherless child. And by that I mean that my mom having muscular dystrophy, it was difficult for her to just maneuver her own body a lot of times. And so you can imagine, if it takes all your energy to care for to do your self-care routine, bathe yourself, clothe yourself, groom yourself, feed yourself. You can imagine if you got 3 little rugrats running around, it's going to be harder for you. You are going to be tired. And so even, I had a mom and a dad together raising us. The moms are the ones in the house raising the kids while dad's at work or dad's at play, But, so in some regards, I could say that I was a motherless child, because my mom's disability influenced her ability to care for us. And I mean, that's no disrespect. That's just a point of recognition that I've come to accept. She did the best she could, and for the times, and I turned out how I did, and so yeah. So I think, when you look at being a motherless child, I don't know, make your pros and cons and say, Dad, I miss having this, or I wish I could have had that, but then look at what you did have, So I look at what I did have. I did have this. I did have, some form of semblance of caring. I did have my siblings who, I played with and fought with and got along with. And so, I don't know, y'all. This is going to be a wild ride on this test video. So yeah, discrimination, racism, and motherless the motherless child. Well, going back to discrimination and racism, you know, we each have isms that guide how we interact with other people. And sometimes it's harder for us to recognize our own isms and easier to see the isms in others. And, you know, watching her video did cause me to just kind of stop and say, dang, I mean, you know, that's cold-hearted how those people just blatantly treat her. And I'm like, dang, do I have isms that interrupt how I interact with people in my daily life? Even things that I'm just not aware of. Like, do I look at folks in a demeaning way, or do I use a tone of voice that is condescending? Or, I mean, look, I don't mean to say like, oh, I'm so guilty, I feel like I need to, you know, like make amends and self-evaluate and just find all my faults. No, I think, like that Michael Jackson song says, man in the mirror. And like I tell my students when I give them their little progress grade reports, this is man in the mirror day. It is so necessary to take like some time to reflect and just check out your own heart and your own intentions and your own behaviors and your own attitudes and all. Because, like for instance, today at school, it was a good day, but there was a section of the day where it was really rough. It got really very intense. It got intense, and with having to evaluate some behaviors, identify, like name the behaviors, and then tell what the expected outcomes were. And, you know, I think some of the listeners got it. I really think they got it. They understood that man in the mirror concept. Like, I mean, I'm thinking that. I don't know if that's truly the case, you know, but how things transpired, it just made me think, they understood this. They got it. So I'll see. But it's so important. And when we examine our own hearts and our own motivations and how we feel about humanity, do we really love people? Do we care about the well-being of people? I don't know. I think it changes you. I think people know if they really like people or not, or if they don't like people. If they like seeing people succeed and do well, or if they like to see people fail and be hurt and suffer. You know, and those types of attitudes are stems of our belief system in regards to like human rights. Like, do all people deserve equal treatment, or at least civil, respectful, honest, careful treatment? Do all people deserve that? The dignity factor. Do all living people deserve to be treated with dignity and humanity? Even the people who we feel broke a law or did some heinous behavior, or for whatever reason you may say they don't deserve it. Do they really? And so, I don't know. For me, it takes me back to my fundamental religious beliefs, if you want to call them that, but my fundamental beliefs about what man is, what people are. People are made in God's image. People are human beings with the soul who deserve to be treated with dignity, and who deserve or who are expected to live like honorable lives to honor their creator. And if people are doing that, then they're not going to hurt each other. And I know that's Pollyanna-ish and pie in the sky-ish. I know it is. Because we don't live in a perfect world. We live in a fallen world. And so, situational ethics come into play where people say, well, so-and-so did this, so I am issuing justice for what so-and-so did 30 years ago. So I am going to treat so-and-so in this manner to get justice for what they did and what they deserve for what they did. So this is complex. It really is. It's complex in the regard or in the way that cause and effect, consequences, behavioral consequences, choices and consequences, and here's another thought dealing with people being treated humanely and with dignity. I like the pay it forward concept where it talks about, do a good deed and pass it to the next person you interact with. Because if you're busy paying it forward instead of paying people back for what they did to you when you was 2 years old and they left you in the cold, in the snow, on the bus stop with the peanut butter sandwich. And yeah, they should not have done that. That was wrong. But now you're 52 years old, so get over it, right? Move beyond that. Move beyond that. Heal. Let healing come in. Heal your heart, heal your soul, heal your mind. So if you're busy paying it forward, if you are positioned to do good to the people you interact with, wow. That has got to feel good. To pay it forward, to be kind, to do an act of kindness towards strangers or even, towards your family first, towards your loved ones first, and then towards strangers. Because charity does begin at home. It really does. You can treat people outside of your family well and then abuse your own family. What is that about? So paying it forward and just loving on folks is so rare these days to where some people just don't get it. They don't understand a soft approach. They don't. But just because they don't understand a soft approach doesn't mean for you to abandon the soft approach. There's a time for the soft approach, and because you can win more, you can get more bees with honey than you can with vinegar. Kind words are soothing and calming. A gentle tone is like a healing oil. I just made that one up. I paraphrased that one, but it's soothing. It's like medicine or soothing to the soul and the emotion. So the gentle touch is important. We need the gentle touch. I mean, life is hard enough with all the thorns and thistles and disappointments and, delays. And so paying it forward is almost like putting money in the bank and accumulate. I mean, it's even better than that. It goes beyond that, but I can't think of any other analogy. It's like saving up in your piggy bank, just accumulating all these blessings. And you're not doing it because you want more blessing. You're doing it because it's feeling good in your soul when you do it. And it makes someone else feel good in their soul. And it's contagious. And before you know it, exponentially, the world around you is paying it forward. And people are feeling good in their souls and they're loving on everybody. Now that's a city I would love to live in. Yeah. That's a world I would love to live in. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So, that's what I could say about racism or any isms. Now, back to the motherless child. So, as a motherless child, I'm gonna clarify, or I've already clarified my labeling myself motherless. I have a mother who I love dearly, who is still in the land of the living, and who is, happy and living her life. She still has muscular dystrophy. It has withered her body and made her very weak. And she does use a wheelchair, for when she's up and about. And her muscles are deteriorating and she can't lift her arms and other things that have just really limited her. I can remember when I was a young girl and my mom would limp. When she walked, she limped. And we would ask her, why you limp? I was little. I don't know, 5, 4. And my sister, my brother, and I would ask her why she limped. And then she would tell us, because you know how kids are, they forget, so they keep asking you, right? They ask you all the time. And she would tell us, I have muscular dystrophy. When I get older, it's going to do this to my body. She would tell us. And I can remember when we got older, like when I was like 8 maybe or 9, old enough to really grasp a little more of what she was saying. She told us, she said, I have muscular dystrophy. It's doing this to my muscles, to my body. It's making me weaker. And eventually I will get so weak that I won't wake up, is how she said it. And then, she told us some other things as well about, her plans or something. And so, yeah, yeah. And now here I am at this point in my life, and my mom's still going strong. And her body is weaker. And, yeah. So why would I even then, if I have a mom who loves me and who cared for me the best that she could, why would I even say that I'm a motherless child? Because I'm thinking on a wider scale here. So, and I'm looking at how society impacts the individual and how the individual impacts society. So that's kind of my framework of what I'm talking about here today. So just imagine, having a disability before, there were disability laws in the 70s. There were disability acts or, laws, but they were not always on the books. And I'm thinking the 50s might have been the first, or 54. No, maybe before then. I don't know, you all. I have to pull out some of my old legal books from educational law to check, the earliest legislation dealing with protection for the class of people, disabled Americans, okay? But even with being a protected class of citizens, and even with legal protection and legal rights, still on the social landscape, you know how people were back in the day? Some people thought if you had disabilities or anything like that, that you were demonized. Or now, I'm not saying that they thought this about my mother. I'm just saying in particular about the class of people called, disabled, and how some folks thought about them. Okay. So, some people would think, well, if you were born with a disability, your parents did something wrong, or you did something wrong, or you were demonized, or you were, doomed for hell, or, lots of just old, junky, discriminatory thinking, which led folks to treat you differently. They would leave you isolated. They would exclude you, which is isolation. Oh, don't play with so-and-so because she has asthma. Or don't play with Billy because he has seizures. Or, oh, don't play with her. Don't be her friend because she has this and you'll get it too. You all know what I'm talking about. Now, don't be acting like brand new and you don't know. This is how the social thinking was. Because I don't know if that's a metaphysical type of thinking. I don't know what that's based on, or if it's just simply witchcraft thinking or ignorance. I don't know what it's based on, but even today, people do have those mental models that don't associate with so-and-so because they have this or they're like that, and it's going to rub off on you. I think that deals more with behaviors that people choose, right? Not like disabilities that they were born with, right? When the Bible talks about like choose your company and don't be defiled by being around certain kind of people, isn't that speaking in terms of how folks behave, what people choose to do with their time and with their treasure and talent in life? And not if they were lepers, now that was different. Because if they were lepers, but see, you didn't necessarily have to be born a leper. You could catch leprosy. And leprosy was highly contagious and no cure. So if you had those spots, if you were a leper, you were outcast because it was highly contagious and it was spread rapidly throughout the population. So there are so many layers to why people treat each other the way they do. On the big aspect of society, down to the smaller aspect of the nuclear family, and then how it affects the individual. So there are lots of motherless children nowadays, because society is faced with a lot of different types of challenges for citizens, for people. And I don't have to name them. You all know what there are. There are lots of challenges that people find themselves in, and it makes it hard for them to be available for their children. Yeah, and those children end up really being like motherless or fatherless children, and it leaves a yearning in them. So I guess I have a yearning in me as well, to some degree. I'm sure, I know I do. I think we all do. My thought on it is that we all have a God yearning. we have a yearning to be important and to be wanted and to be respected and to be loved and to be needed. I think we all have those yearnings. I don't think I've met anyone who doesn't want to be loved. I don't think I've met anyone who doesn't want to be needed or wanted or desired. I don't think I've met anyone who doesn't want those things. So could that be then because of the fall of mankind, is what Christians believe? That we have that void that makes us sort of like fatherless and motherless children? Even though God is our Father and He's the one who cares for us, if we don't accept Him on His terms, then we're fatherless. Unless we make up our own parents. We could adopt some parents, or we could make some parents in our own image. So this conversation, as you can see, is taking a life course of its own. But I just found those two videos very thought-provoking. And I didn't know how I was going to attack them or handle them. But I think both videos are worth watching. The LouLouMatou video on discrimination in the Netherlands, and the Tanya TKO video on what did I say it was? The Motherless Child. She's writing a book called The Motherless Child, something about 10 secrets of the motherless child or something. And so she's doing that ebook, and she's releasing it chapter by chapter, and I think it's going to be soon released, like next month or something like that. So thank you all for watching. I still have like 7 minutes, and so 8 minutes, so I'm going to try to, I don't know what I'm going to talk about now. So, yeah, we have, let's see, what can I talk about? I told you all I got these floors put in here at home, and I'm very grateful for, that it worked out for the floors to be put in. They're gorgeous. They're very beautiful. And, yeah, they're very beautiful, and I'm very grateful for them. So the other project, one of the other projects fell through, so that one won't be happening. And then the other two projects are just slowly being put together, you all. And look, I have to go at the speed that works. I'm sorry that it couldn't be fast, one of those fast get done types of outcomes, but I have to go at the speed that I'm afforded to go at. So this is it. Tortoise in the shell, or tortoise in the hair. Well, I'm the tortoise. So paint will be going up soon, and then all those fixtures will be put in. I know it's been months. And so when all of that's done, I will give you all a tour of those rooms, that bathroom and the laundry room. I still don't know what kind of paint. I think I want like a chocolate. I was thinking a chocolate because I saw it on somebody's Pinterest and it was so pretty. But then I saw, right after I saw the chocolate, I saw this green that was, it was sort of like this green right here. Sort of like this green right here. But it was a little deeper in the tone, I guess. And just very rich, like with depth, deep, pretty, like coats and coats of paint, I guess is what I'm trying to draw for you to see in your mind. It was just very pretty. So I don't know what color to go with. I really don't. But whatever color, I may just end up going with just plain old eggshell white. I may just do that. So when those projects are done, I will give you all a tour. I have the sink bowl, but I don't have the sink vanity or basin or vanity, whatever. I don't have that. I have to find that, and then the bowl goes on top of that, and then the faucet will like swan over into it. So there are two faucets that I'm looking at. One has like, it looks like a spaceship, and then water just flows flat, like my hand is flat and water just flows flat down like that. Or the other one is like a candy cane upside down over the bowl, and then the water just flows out like that. So I have to decide which one of those I'm going to get, and then we'll see. Yeah, and I'll let you all see it when it's done. So if you're still watching this video, I want to thank you. I really want to thank you. And I'm going to end the video by saying that, you know, I'm the mother of 2 adult daughters, and I love my daughters very dearly, and I really try to mother my daughters quite well. I was a young mother, and I had some issues when I was young. I had some issues. I mean, we all do, but I had some issues. And, you know, when you have issues, like when I say issues, I mean like, I was very, like, nervous. I was a nervous young mom, and I didn't really have anyone to talk to like help take that edge of nervousness off of me so that I can just rest and be relaxed as a mom. I was very aware that things could go wrong parenting my children, being a young mom, because I had emergency C-section with my oldest daughter, and, you know, I was scared every time she had a fever or anything. And that's what I mean by issues. I was just so scared as a mom and so on hyper vigilant alert, and almost like a post-traumatic stress disorder in a way, seems like. But the thing that really helped me to learn to relax and parent my children was this husband and wife who had a small ministry, just, you know, family ministry, and they were so dedicated and sincere about their work, you know, with their ministry. And that couple with their children just really prayed for me, and they took the time, they prayed for me to calm down and to relax at being a mom, and to not worry so much, and to trust God for my needs to be met. And so people like that, we all need people like that in our life who will take an interest in us, to mentor us and shape us and guide us. So I have these 2 adult daughters who I try my darndest to raise well. And my prayer for them is that they will know that I loved and cared for them the best that I could with what I had. And so that I really want them to feel like a mothered child, but they may feel like a motherless child. I think we all feel like a motherless child. And I think that void is our need for God. That's what I think it is. But see, that's only my 2 cents. So thank you for watching. If you're still holding on, if you're still watching, thank you so much. Comment and let me know what you think. Are you a motherless child? And please pay it forward so we don't have to live in a world full of isms. All right, y'all, be blessed. Love you. Bye.